Hello everyone. We have a game with the black pieces on our speedrun against MIH. He's rated 1400. Let's see if we can get a Pirc Defense on the board. And we know all about the early e5 push and how we feel about it. Even though he's 1400, he still walks into this elementary idea of the queen trade, followed by knight g4. And at the very least, it's uncomfortable for white. The very most, white doesn't play accurately and kind of loses. So we'll see which way it goes. He protects one pawn, we take the other pawn. So we're up a pawn. I thought he might bring the bishop out and try to win it back, but he develops his knight instead. I'm going to develop a piece with a threat, although you can make a number of moves there. And he develops a piece with a bigger threat. Mine's on a pawn, his is on a piece. So you could defend, but then he'll pin you. So let's defend this way. So if he goes for the pin, we have c6 in our pocket, which is also a good move against the knight. And it can get the pawn out of the attack for the bishop. So we're up a pawn, we have our win condition. So all we need to do is solidify and not mess up or lose anything. Trade all the pieces, and we just have a winning king and pawn endgame. No problem. As it stands now, we already have 3 minors developed to white's 2, even though he started the game. And now that he throws the bishop here, he gives us the easy automatic c6. He retreats the bishop, but it's our turn again, and black's just better. You could even drop the knight back and hit the bishop, but there's no need for that necessarily. We should just continue developing. e6 is a normal move, opening our bishop. Okay, he puts the rook on the d file, looking at some pressure, but nothing, no big deal. I'm just going to develop my bishop. I'm going to pin the knight in the process. Maybe I'm threatening to ruin the structure. Do I want to give up the bishop? I think so. I'm going to do it because it's forcing. I get the turn back, as opposed to moving my bishop and giving him the turn. And it also gives another win condition, ruin his queenside pawns. And the knight can easily hop into that square immediately with threats. So it looked like an interesting thing to do. I think though, we should castle. And in this way, both of our knights, if he takes one, the other one defends. Our rooks are connected, we're up a pawn, we have a better pawn structure, better position. So he develops a knight. What does this threaten? It threatens our knight in the center, but now we can ruin another set of pawns with check. So that's odd. Followed by knight c5, that's an option. We could move it here, but then he could move his knight into the center. And since we're up material and we have our win condition, let's trade with further advantages. And now our knight is hanging. You could move a rook over and defend it, but we don't want to leave it here anyway. Because if you do bring a rook over, maybe bishop c7, and you have a hard time because you have to move the rook. So instead, let's go knight to c5, just improve for free. Get out of any weird tactics, and now we just have a fully open file for a rook. Trades are good for us, his structure is permanently ruined. So he goes back. We could definitely fix the structure since we're just up material and he still has, it ruined on the other side. Then we still have a winning position. We could let him go back because this pawn is always hanging, so we don't have to take the bishop right away. I say let's bring a rook in the game. Doesn't matter which one you pick. We are now threatening to take his rook with check, which would let us develop for free afterwards. So he moves the rook off the file, but the drawback is it gives us the file. He's trying to protect the pawn so we can move the bishop, maybe here. So I'm going to use this opportunity to trade another set of pieces since my knight didn't have any forward jumps anyway. Okay, so we make a trade. All I have left is 2 rooks and his bishop. His bishop is on a nice outpost. It never really has to move for the rest of the game unless you see something concrete. So let's rook lift and prepare doubling. It's the most natural, obvious move. So we're looking for good-looking forcing moves. This is a good-looking forcing move. You check those first because oftentimes those are the best if they work. So he lifts the king, protects the pawn. It's a lousy way to defend a pawn, but what are you going to do? This allows us to double, and now our pawn structure is perfectly connected, and our pieces all have good squares. The only thing you might say is maybe create some lift for the king, but theoretically, the only open file we have control, so he can't even back rank us, right? So it's not really a weakness. He lines the rook up with the king anyway. He's not really threatening anything, but what do we want to do? He has a dark square bishop, and we have a light square bishop. So if we put all of our pawns on dark instead of light, see how they're on light? So he has freedom, and we have a good outpost, so we don't need freedom backwards, so we're fine. But what if we can just, f6, king f7, e5, right? Move our king to the center, create a dark square pawn chain to block his bishop slowly. Let's try something like that. So let's start with f6. It doesn't matter that you weaken e6 because we have the bishop. He has no knights. He can't possibly take advantage. We're going to move the king, just sneak it on in. We're going to kick the bishop. We'll kick the bishop first because it's for free. It's a free move, whereas the king move is not for free. So we throw this in so we can get 2 moves in 1. He has to move the bishop to here so he doesn't lose it. And okay, now we get to move our king, improving our position while maintaining full central control. See? So he's pushing this, but it leads to nothing. So that's not a thing. We could move our king. We could also target a different weakness. Let's do that. Let's try to poke and prod to get him to push because he can't maintain everything. It looks like he's holding right now, right? Like I can't infiltrate, I can't currently take, and it's like, oh well, now what? But no, black is completely crushing here. White cannot hold in a position like this. It's only a matter of how you want to win. So you throw in this move, and the second he moves the pawn, he gives you new light squares for your bishop, you see? So instead of being on this diagonal, which is perfectly acceptable outpost and diagonal, we can switch it, and now this introduces tactics, new ideas. So he moves the king to get out of the tactic. Okay? That blocks the connection of the rooks. So noticing that, let's go here, and like I said, we're going to poke and prod. We're now threatening rook to the back rank. So we're just making little moves here and there with new weaknesses. Everything he's doing, first he pushed the pawn, we took advantage of that. Then he moved the king, which blocks the rooks. So now we're going to take advantage of that, right, by focusing on the back rank. So it's responsive chess. And he has a dark square bishop, which cannot help him at all on the light squares. So our light square bishop is just an extra attacker in all of these scenarios. So we have 2 rooks and an attacking piece. He has 2 rooks and he can't do anything with his bishop. So he pushes the pawn, maybe for some counterplay, but in reality, we go check. I guess he could go up, but then we go checkmate, so he cannot go up. So if we go check, he has to take. Then we go check. Now he has to go up. We get the free rook. Even if he takes the pawn, you can take with the king or the rook. So although g6 and g5 are normal moves, especially g5 is super cool, even cooler than g6. Okay, so forget the fact we have this rook move. I want to just show you that a lot of you who would just go g6, g5 is better. It permanently stops any f4 pawn break. It restricts the dark squares further, and it allows your king to go to g6 to eat this pawn. But that's besides the point because we have this rook move. I just want to show you that while you instinctively want to play g6, g5 is probably even better. So let's go here and let's take the rook. And now the game is over. You could take however you want. I mean, whatever, the king. We have this outside pass pawn. He snatches a pawn, but I mean, realistically, that pawn doesn't matter. We're up a full rook right here. It's an active rook, and he just resigns, which is correct. So let's go through the game. We want to get a Pirc set up, but the early e5, we talk about it, not so good because of takes, queen trade, and knight here. Now, most players will protect with the king because it's the bigger threat, and then we will take the pawn. Now, a lot of players, at least that I've played, will bring the bishop out because it hits the knight and the pawn behind it. So it looks like, oh, I'm going to get my pawn back. Now, you're happy to trade a central pawn for a flank pawn if they do get it back. But there are some moves. So if you bring your knight out, you're protecting this, so you're trying to keep your pawn. If he brings his bishop out, trying to pin this to attack this, you just go a6, try to force the issue, and you hang on to your c pawn because your knight's stabilized. So I just want to go over that quickly. In this case, he brought his knight out, and it says that it's already minus 1.3. So black is positionally better by minus 1.3, which is a lot. And the game just started. It's move 7. All because white, instead of developing, is making moving the same piece twice, the same pawn twice, and playing e5, which isn't good. So we develop a piece with a threat. Development and center for free. It says this is a mistake. He goes and attacks my knight. And we develop and defend. Computer says you don't even have to worry about this pin, even though it looks weird, because you can just kick him again. And if he takes you this, you take that. If he takes you this, his bishop hangs. Also the rook move. Oh yeah, I guess you need the rook move so your rook doesn't hang. But in any case, you don't have to worry about it. But we go for the slightly safer version. He gives us this check anyway, which of course has to be wrong. Let me turn off these lines. Now it's minus 2.5, so completely winning for black already right here. And you may think it's just a game that's playable for both sides. He has 3 pieces out. He can long castle. But the reality is he's down a central pawn. And because of the construction I have, my position's so solid and well developed, it's effectively game over. So we go center and development. Now we go development and center. It's minus 3.2. That's a full piece. We're up a pawn, but it says we're up a full piece. That's extremely significant. And I want you to match the evaluation with the visual that you see and your understanding, which you think of the position. Try to tie it all together. So he attacks our bishop. Force move. A5. What in the world? Oh, A5 threatens B5. Then he goes back, A4. He goes back, you win this pawn. That's a convoluted way to win this C2 pawn. So we just castle like a normal human. He develops. Now we take for free to get the turn back to ruin his structure, minus 3. Now our knight was hanging, so force move and improving for free. And now just improvement, development, center. Simple. Trades are wins for us because we're up everything, position and material. So this is a free move, free stuff. And now it's minus 3. We improve a piece for free because it comes with a threat. Force move and development and center. center with the idea of restriction and improving a piece, the king. Improving move for free. Just a developing move. Improving a piece for free. Improving a piece for free. Improving a piece for free. All of these were for free because every time I moved my bishop, it was a new threat that he had to address. And even though he's addressing them, I'm making new problems, posing new questions that he has to answer and solve. And inevitably, he doesn't. It goes from minus 3.7, double it, minus 7.6. Just totally down a queen. We throw in the check, the rook. The game is over. So, a couple of inaccuracies, but no mistakes. So we stayed at 93 accuracy. And overall, I think a very good game and a very instructive game on what to do if they play e5. Just queen trade and go knight g4. Figure it out from there. You should be fine. Even if he gets the pawn back, you're not worse. So you immediately equalize at the least. At the best, you maintain your pawn and you have an advantage. So submit your rapid games in my Discord. Good luck in your chess, guys.